Fred Kelemen, welcome to the Ji.hlava International Documentary Festival. You're here screening Sarajevo Songs of Woe, and maybe you can tell us something about how this project began.
The initial idea started when I was walking in Sarajevo and passing by a certain place, which is also in the film. It's a children's playground, and seeing this place without thinking, I had this image in my mind of children playing on the playground and a camera view observing them and then moving slowly backwards, and by the movement getting the head of a man into the frame. And I was very, very sure, of course, that this movement would immediately create the impression of a danger for the kids, because everybody would associate maybe a pederast observing the kids. And I was thinking, but what if this man is not a pederast? Who is he? And this question I answered myself with the last part of the film, let's say. So I invented for him a kind of story or biography, and thought about a man who was participating in the war in Sarajevo and leaving the place after the war and coming back now because he has certain things to clarify. Mm-hmm. And so the last part of the film was the first idea I had, and but it was too complicated to shoot it immediately because of some locations which had to be organized. So I invented the first part and shot first the first part. And a year later, I shot the second part, and then I was editing the two parts and going back to Sarajevo and shooting the middle part, mm-hmm. which is a documentary part, mm-hmm. and integrating it in the film, right. And using it like a bridge between the two fictional parts. Mm-hmm, and mm-hmm. By doing this, at least I hoped that it would work, mm-hmm. like connection creating between the three parts, which creates in the end a fourth film, let's say, which is over or behind the three other films. Mm-hmm, so that mm-hmm. Kind of synthesis happens between the three and creating a fourth film in your mind, which is I would say a kind of metaphysical film which is provoked by the three parts.
Yeah, it's a fascinating combination of narrative film followed by a documentary which focuses on street dogs, interestingly enough, which you shot yourself in available light in yes. conditions people told you would be dangerous, and then a final narrative that each involving sort of damaged characters, maybe trying to find their way. What were some of the things you encountered shooting dogs in the middle of the night in Sarajevo?
What was what?
Shooting the dogs.
How it was? Or?
In the sequence in the middle, in the streets, the street dogs.
And the question was how it was?
When you took that on yourself, there alone.
First I told it to my editor in Berlin that I want to put in the middle this part. And she thought it's a little crazy idea. Of course, imagining it is very difficult, but I told her, you will see it works. You will see what it makes, you know, with you as an audience. And then I organized it. I organized the camera, and I prepared myself to be ready to go out every night. And so from, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the night till 4 o'clock in the morning, I was straying through the streets. So I became almost like a street dog and haunting them, looking mm-hmm. for them, because it was not easy to find them every night. Sometimes they were not there, and I was looking for them. Then after hours I could find maybe some. I followed them. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were too fast. I lost them. Mm-hmm. I was looking for them again. So mm-hmm. it was a very intensive work, and they were leading me also to very unknown places in Sarajevo. I did this not shooting, but many years before, when I was in a film festival in Thessaloniki. One afternoon, when I needed a break from the festival, I was just following one dog, and just to see where he leads me and to discover the town in a different way. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I do this, and right. But this time I was shooting them so it was in 6 nights I finished the whole material, and mm-hmm. Then I went back to Berlin and I edited it and I finished the film.
Right.
But it was a very touching thing, and When I went back to my bed in the morning, it took me at least an hour before I could sleep, because the faces of the dogs, which were so close in my mind, just haunted me then for some time. Their wounded eyes, they were inflamed. They had inflamed eyes. They had these looks of creatures which were really traumatized, and this. Yeah, it really went under my skin, and but I felt a strong sympathy for them, and because of the fact that dogs smell fear, and because I was not afraid, I think there was never a dangerous situation. Right. Even though everybody who heard about my idea to shoot them in Sarajevo, people from Sarajevo told me not to do this, and that it's dangerous, and they often attack people and so on. But it was, I had no problem, not 1 second.
It's really remarkable. We really do get to know them, and we get a sense of their society and their relationships. It's
I mean, they even let me come so close, like one image before the last one, when they were sleeping, or they started to sleep, and they were fine with this.
Wow, wow. And the way you film is extremely challenging technically and in terms of performance, because you prefer long takes without cuts, in which the cameraman has to constantly move, change composition, change focus, and then actors have to be able to do an entire scene, not just a cut. And this is the kinds of this is something you've also done with Béla Tarr.
It's something I did even before I met Béla, because before I started studying in the film school, I did some works in some theater as an assistant. And my main inspiration for film came from music, and the whole idea of duration, of time, is very much influenced by music. And so from the very beginning I tried to find a way to transform or transport this kind of time flow to the images and to the screen. And also before I made films, and still, I was very interested in poetry, and it's a little like a poem works, when you go through the words and from one word to another, and sometimes a line in a poem finishes a thought, but at the same time the same line can be the beginning of another one. So this flow, I never was interested in jumps and cuts and so on. I always was very interested in the flow. And then when I met Béla later, I saw a similar interest in his way he's working, and that's one of the reasons I think why we came close to each other, because we had something which connected us. And of course, during the years I get more experience with doing this, but I did it from my first film, from my first short film, till today.
Okay.
So because I'm still very much interested in the secret of time and the magic of time and flow. Right.
Well, we're lucky that this collaboration happened, and I look forward to seeing what you do next. All the best with the film.
Thank you very much.